Learn the latest news surrounding our pursuits at signing a technical advisor, as today we are getting very close now to capturing former RB Leipzig technical advisor in Christopher Vivell. On top of this, you guys, we have some big news surrounding N'Golo Kante's future, as well as Aubameyang's as well too. So a ton of things to break down and discuss today. Hope you guys enjoy, and of course stay tuned tomorrow for the big matchday content too. Before we get into anything though, I want to get one big plug out of the way first. There is a new episode of the Last Fan Standing series on BetVictor's YouTube channel. Right now, I'm going to play you guys a very brief clip.
A worldie from Partey. 99 times out of 100 that doesn't fly in the top corner. A mistake from Lloris. Twice we could have cleared that ball. Then Royale gets sent off, a stupid challenge, and then you scored directly after it. You scored at the right times, but there were 3 incidents that could have been avoided.
I think it's too cynical to try and suggest that Arsenal were lucky to get something against Spurs. In football, you create your own luck. And for me, under Antonio Kante, a guy that used to be our very own manager, I was personally frustrated by the very negative approach to games. Very defensive, too reliant on counter-attacks, and most times in the big games or the games of magnitude and importance, that approach would come back to bite us in the ass. For me, once you stop the wing-backs getting involved in the game, that isolates the attack, that isolates the rest of the team, and it's been the same repeated tactical deficiencies I've been seeing from Conte for years and years and years. So absolutely no luck at all from Arsenal. If you guys want to get involved in this week's conversations, there will be a full link to the episode in the card above and description below. Getting back to the video, so let's start with things and let's discuss the surprising reports coming out from France surrounding the future of Aubameyang. The report suggests that Paris Saint-Germain are currently in talks behind the scenes with Aubameyang, plotting a move for the striker once the summer window, of course, emerges again. Now, I guess there could be some footballing sense behind a potential Paris Saint-Germain move. Of course, Aubameyang worked under Gauthier, I think 10 years ago when both were at Saint Etienne. At the time, I could imagine why Paris Saint-Germain want more experience, competition up front for their players. And of course, Gauthier has worked alongside Aubameyang before. They have that relationship, and he'd probably imagine that as Aubameyang's career is coming to its end in the next few seasons, maybe he wants to take his family back to France, where he has that luxury of playing for the best club in Ligue 1, where he'll be regularly competing at the highest level in football as well too. And considering that he only signed a 2-year contract with us with the option to extend depending on whether he meets like certain clauses that get activated in that contract, you'd imagine that Paris Saint-Germain would be more comfortable in offering Aubameyang a longer deal, of course, to give him that stability. That is how I'm seeing things at this point in time, because I can't sit here and feel like this report is fake. Even the reporter that broke the story, he's very reliable. I think Santi something, I'm getting his name completely wrong at this point in time, but this is a very reliable reporter, and normally with how these deal works behind the scenes, you'll be holding these conversations from now to get ready to make your move when the window opens. So I'm not surprised by things. We're looking at the future of this club now. Todd Boehly is looking to completely just dismantle everything the old regime did to create things in his very own image. And I do feel like Aubameyang was signed as a short-term quality option for now, but he isn't in our long-term plans in the medium to long-term. I do feel like, now that Nkunku has agreed that pre-contract agreement, now that they're bringing in the right personnel within the ranks of the club to, get us signing the top players for future windows, I don't see Aubameyang having a long-term future here, and I don't think he was signed to have one in particular. So, reports have said that we would be happy to sell Aubameyang if he wanted to leave, of course. So I guess the benefit in that sense is that we take him off the wage bill and we earn some decent money from his sale to Paris Saint-Germain. So let's see how things, of course, play out and pan out. But I don't know. I feel like if we can get one top year from Aubameyang, and if that is something he wants to do in the future, he is more than entitled to do so. It works out for all parties. And considering that he won't be the only exit to come in the short to medium term. You're looking at guys like Pulisic, you're looking at players like Ziyech, and Nkunku's signs will probably go for another top quality forward in a layout or other targets being looked at this point in time. And of course, there's still plans to bring in that long-term forward at this club as well too. So yeah, how do you guys feel about this story? Are you a bit surprised? Do you think it's absolute nonsense, or are you kind of okay with how things could, of course, pan and play out? Let us know in the comment section. So right now, let's break down the massive reports that dropped today surrounding our pursuits at signing a technical director. At this point in time, it seems like we could be set to complete a triple raid at RB Leipzig. We've already secured Christopher Nkunku on a pre-contract deal. We are currently in advanced talks at this point in time to activate Gvardiol's 43.6 million release clause and get him signed for next window too. And thirdly, it seems like we are set to be signing former Leipzig technical director in Christopher Vivell. Now, interestingly enough, it was released by the official club accounts from RB Leipzig announcing their departure of Christopher Vivell. Essentially, the reason behind his departure is based on the fact that there was a difference in contrasting views. It was left especially vague. What does that mean? None of us have a clue whatsoever, but you'd imagine that once we came in to offer him, a bigger salary and the opportunity to cultivate something bigger, grander and better, how can you necessarily turn that down? That's not going to happen. So currently he is set to sign for us to become our technical director. So I guess right now is probably the time to discuss what is the difference between a sporting director and a technical director. To keep things short and sweet, I'd probably say this. A sporting director is hired to implement and create the overall vision and philosophy of a football club, and the technical director is the guy that implements that vision set by the sporting director on a daily basis. So in that sense, let's say the sporting director is the guy who's working alongside the board to create those like scouting ranges. Of course, he talks to players, contracts, all the transfer related stuff, and it's a technical director who then implements the medium to long-term philosophy. He'll be there to make sure that the entirety of the infrastructure at the football club is in tandem working together. As Vivell himself actually said, he said this: I like to explain it this way. Managers think from game to game, sporting directors think from one transfer window to the next, and technical directors think 3 transfer windows ahead, because they need to make sure that the medium to long-term targets are still being achieved at the football club, whilst these guys work on the immediate things in front of them, of course, that they obviously have to do. So in that sense, all the workload is currently being specialized and spread out so the experts can focus on their area of expertise. To go on though, we got some more context for Matt Law's story, because he was the first one to break the announcement that we're close to signing Vivell, and he gives us some insight behind how we look to use Vivell in our current structure. He says that Vivell would be held responsible for data and scouting and will work alongside Potter and other recruitment specialists as well too. Currently, this means that we are still in the market at securing a top quality sporting director. Michael Edwards has been the main guy, but he's remained adamant that he won't be hired during the season, but he could be willing to talk, of course, for next season. Bowley is more than happy as acting as our current interim sporting director until the right candidate is made available. And at the same time, let's not give up hopes on Christopher Freund. Of course, we came very close to signing him from RB Salzburg, but in the end, they just refused to sell because we wanted to take Freund as well as many key members of his staff as well. I mean, I do get that. There's no way that RB Leipzig could lose like key figures in their club behind, what makes them special in terms of recruitment, just like that, without having replacements secured first. So talks are, the move for Freund still isn't yet over. After the positive talks held with Todd Bowley and the fact that he came very close, you'd imagine that he could easily wait until the next window to get him signed and get him here. So, it's very exciting what we're looking to build. For me, I like the efficiency behind how we're looking to move, and I like the care and I like that we're focusing on those short-term targets whilst having equal importance for the medium to long-term as well too. I've been saying this for so long, I was quite critical of our previous regime, and it always came down to the fact that I felt like we were so inefficient with how we moved. When you're looking at how other big clubs have found these perfect, harmonious environments for the clubs to work in, how all areas of the club's infrastructure are in tandem working together. And it's no surprise why most times, most of our seasons were determined by how well we did business in that transfer window, and our success rate should have been a lot better. And seeing how other rivals around us have a much better success rate at spending money, it's quite clear that we can improve in these areas, and I'm liking that we're really bringing in the experts now to get us to close the gap against the big boys. Of course, so when you're looking at Vivell's soon to be signing. You're looking at the potential appointments of sporting directors in the future as well too. It's quite obvious that Todd Boehly really wants to build this multi-club model with our football club, and for me, I feel like there's lots of benefits to have from a multi-club model. Not only do you get like work permit related bonuses in the sense that, okay, we can now target top talents outside the EU. And if we do have a feeder club and an affiliate club in, let's say, Belgium, where you can get that work permit faster than how you would get in it in the UK, for me, that could have a big benefit for us in the future. Of course, it allows you to just develop the top talents we have here, knowing that we can send these guys out to clubs we have full trust and faith in because they are part of our core vision and philosophy. I feel like not only can the top young guys get game time instantly, with more game time, that's going to allow them to grow, improve, and hopefully, reach the higher levels a bit faster. I can keep going on. I'm giving very brief reasons at this point in time, but I'm liking the overall vision that Boehly is looking to introduce at this club. And I can't help but feel like, are we being recommended to sign these talents based on guys who are looking to bring into this football club, obviously to run our strategy and vision? It's starting to feel like that. It's very exciting, and if signings like Nkunku and Gvardiol are, a glimpse of things to come in the future, then you guys, I'm all here for it. So what's your thoughts and opinions behind what we're trying to do structurally at this football club? Do you like the new ways in which we're trying to do things, or do you still feel a bit skeptical too? Let us know below. And for the final story, let's discuss the news surrounding N'Golo Kante. Now, this was another story that broke up from France, and this came from Foot Mercato. They report that at this point in time, to their beliefs, Kante won't be signing or agreeing to a contract extension with us. Now, some of the main reasons behind why his contract talks have stalled has come down to the fact that Kante is not satisfied by the contract length presented to him. At the same time, the club kind of feel like maybe his injury records have made them a bit reluctant to offer him the deal length and the wages that Kante wants. Regardless, Kante's agent has made things clear based on these French reports. Kante wants to remain in London. Paris Saint-Germain have eternally tried to, bring him to Paris for years now. He is not interested in going back to Ligue 1, and it does seem like Arsenal and Spurs are two clubs where his agent could offer Kante towards, because of course Kante wants to remain in London. Part of me feels like, are these like pressure tactics set by his agent, of course, by releasing things to the media to try and get the club, of course, to hurry up and find a solution? Because if you're clubs like Arsenal or United or Spurs or many others, and now you've got whiff that Kante could potentially be available on a free, that's going to change how you do business in the window. Signing Kante on a free deal where he's still got a lot more years to offer, he's the guy that will improve and upgrade your team. So, I'd imagine that he's the type of player that we wouldn't just let leave that quickly. I feel like that's not the move at this point in time. And now that Kante is fully back in training, in my opinion, I don't want us to make any hasty decisions. I want to go back to what Graham Potter said now in his past two press conferences, one before the Milan game and the ones today. He knows that Kante needs a bit more time before he's fully acclimatized and ready to be back in that team. He doesn't want to rush him back. He doesn't want him to, fall under more stress to his body and get these like premature injuries, which have been like a regular occurrence for Kante under 3 different management. For me, it was most egregious under Maurizio Sarri, but I've seen Lampard consistently bring him back sooner than he should have, and I've seen Thomas Tuchel do the same thing. I feel like Kante is only a human, and when you rush back time and time again, that's going to compound and it's going to make you weaker as the years go on. So I like the fact that Graham Potter wants to give Kante that assurance that, listen, once you're back in that first team, I don't want you to get injuries again. The plan is for you not to get these occurrences anymore, and if that means you have to spend a bit more time until you're fully ready, you will have that time. I hope that things pan out, but at the same time, if Kante has this luxury, he comes back and he still keeps on collecting injuries, then of course the context behind how I see the situation becomes completely different. But that is something I have to wait to see. Until that becomes the current reality, for me, I just don't feel comfortable at allowing someone like Kante to leave us in a free. I'm sorry. I feel like even his impact in the long term, that world-class experience, that's gonna really lend a lot of help towards a lot of the younger players looking to grow here, become the future stars for us as seasons go on. And I feel like Kante still has like a long-term impact at this football club. I just think he needs better protection. That's what he really needs. For me, he's too unique of a football player to just discard that easily because there aren't solutions as good as him on the market. So I'm going to hold out and wait that Kante comes back really fit, really confident, really strong. And if he does, and if the board see that, I hope that they can find solutions now to tie him down to a long-term deal. But that's only my thoughts and opinions, you guys. Please share your thoughts and opinions too. Do you think it's time to allow Kante to move on? Or do you still think Kante has more life to give? So you guys, on that note, I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lions TV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos.